there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marianne Vanderduzen. I'm an artist and teacher and I'm here because I'm pulling back the curtain on my artistic process to help support you with yours. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you behind the scenes as I begin the planning process for my very first ever online exhibition. This is something I am so excited about because in the past, I have been guilty of simply creating a painting and then selling it right away. This time, what I'm doing is I'm designing a show with intentionality and with an overarching theme to be able to tie all the work together. But first, if you have not yet subscribed, I would love if you would take the opportunity to hit like, the subscribe button, or to leave me a comment throughout. This is my third ever YouTube video, and the more of those little hints of engagement I can get, the more the YouTube algorithm likes this video and sends it out into a wider audience. So why is it so important to have a theme or a concept for a show? Well, number one, it demonstrates thought, so that it's not just about creating pretty art that brightens up a wall, it's also about creating a message. When you're talking to gallery owners or collectors, oftentimes they want to hear about your vision, about the way that you see and interpret the world. From a sheer practicality standpoint too, it also makes a lot of sense because if you are starting to gather collectors who are interested in multiple pieces of your work, why on earth would they buy a bunch of paintings that aren't even interrelated? As an example, let's just say that I do a still life of some flowers, I paint a mountain, and I also paint, I don't know, a chihuahua. If I'm thinking about those three pieces together from an artistic standpoint, they don't blend. There's no message. And from a design standpoint of actually showcasing that artwork in somebody's home, it's not really going to add much value to their decor if they put up three pieces that have no commonalities whatsoever. If anything, it's gonna look kind of bad. Having a show really forces you to dig deep and think about what it is that you're creating so that you're very intentional with it, as opposed to what I have been guilty of doing in the past, which is, ooh, that's pretty, I'm going to paint that. The end. And don't get me wrong, everyone loves pretty paintings. It's just how can I turn that into something a little more special? Now that I've hopefully made the case for the value of creating a show and not just releasing your works piecemeal, I'm so excited to talk to you about the concept for my upcoming show. One of my goals this year was to produce a higher quantity of art. And in the past, I've been really guilty of creating massive paintings that take up an entire wall and often take me months and months of work to complete. The problem with creating those massive pieces is that I'm really limiting the pool of buyers who can interact with my work. There are a lot of people who would actually love to own one of my paintings, and I'm very, very grateful for that. But it's really discouraging if I only create 4 pieces a year. They're massive and they're way out of everyone's budgets. So this year's focus was on a lot more quantity because if I can shrink the size and therefore the time required to create it, I could also shrink the price point. Plus, my drawer of inspiration photos is growing bigger and bigger and bigger, and I needed a way to get them all out of there so I can continue to collect reference photos that I want to paint. Seriously, look at this. These are all reference photos of paintings that I want to make. Seriously, look at all of these reference photos. I am never going to have time to get to all of these, and it just keeps growing. As a result, the central concept of this show actually revolves around the size of the paintings. I am calling it the square foot show. Super original, I know, but it's accurate. The whole premise behind the square foot show is that I'm going to create 12 paintings that are each 12 by 12. I'm hoping that on average, I'll be able to complete about 1 painting per week, which also includes time for editing because I'm going to time lapse and narrate all of these paintings for you on my YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into the planning process. There's a garbage truck outside my house right now, so I'm just gonna have to wait for it to go. Okay. It's so loud. Okay, I don't even remember where we were. The planning process can sometimes seem a little daunting and may lead to procrastination because you're really not sure how to take a concept out of your mind and to get it in front of you to be able to tinker with. In fact, you might even find yourself procrastinating from taking this vision and moving it into pen and paper because you're afraid that something will get lost in translation. My job now is to get it out into actionable steps and to break it down so that I know exactly what I'm doing when over the next 12 weeks. This sounds complicated, but it's really not. So let's head over to my desk and I'm going to show you how I'm going to break down this show in a super complicated, high technology way. Sticky notes. What I've done here is put the different subject for each one of the paintings on a sticky note in front of me. What I've also done is that I have put all of these different subjects into 4 subcategories. So even though I will be doing a total of 12 paintings, I do want to have 4 categories within that of paintings that go together. I'll be starting off with landscape, then moving into floral, still life, and finishing it up with wildlife. For each one of these categories, I'm not just going to have 3 random pieces that don't go together. For example, with the landscape, I'm going to make sure that all 3 of these paintings would look good side by side and use the same color palette. That way, when I finish the show, there's cohesion. Again, it's just one of those things where if you put in a little bit of extra thought, the final product should look a lot more polished. So now that I've laid these out by category and in the chronological order in which I want to tackle this show, I'm going to take each sticky note and put it in the following week of my planner. That way I have a workflow, I have a strategy, and I know what I need to paint when in order to make sure that this show continues to move on time. And that, my friends, is the beginning of the planning process. If you haven't already subscribed, you're definitely going to want to. There are such neat paintings coming down the pipeline as part of this series, and I would love to have you stick around to see them as they unfold. If you're interested in even more behind the scenes, you can follow me on Instagram at @MaryAnnVanderDuzen, where I will be posting all of my progress photos in my stories. You can also follow me on Facebook by searching my name, Mary Ann Vanderduzen, visual artist. And on Facebook, you can also join my free art incubator group for support in your own work. Thank you so much for tuning in and for spending part of your day with me. It has been such fun to share this process with you. And as always, keep making your life beautiful. I'll see you in the next video.